Here is something that happened around 980 CE that your bedroom is still paying the price for. A construction crew working under orders from Harald Bluetooth, King of Denmark, finished the last of 4 great ring fortresses at a site called Trelleborg in Western Zealand. Inside those symmetrical longhouses, every sleeping platform, the parlor, the long benches built flush against the walls, sat exactly 18 inches off the packed earth floor. Not 24 inches, not 36, 18. That measurement was not decorative. It was not accidental. It was the product of centuries of sleeping in cold northern structures and learning through pure thermal experimentation where the stable air was. Today, your bed sits between 24 and 32 inches off the ground. That difference is costing you sleep, energy, and money that the $45 billion global mattress industry needs you to keep spending. Walk into a reconstructed Norse longhouse at the Ribe Viking Center in southwestern Denmark, and you feel the physics the moment you step through the door. The central hearth burns, smoke rises and pools at the ceiling, thick and warm and unbreathable at 8 feet up. At floor level, cold air crawls in from every gap in the timber walls. But sit on the parlor at 18 inches, and the air is different. It is still. It is cool without being cold. It is exactly the temperature range where a human body begins surrendering heat to the surrounding environment, which is the only way a human body enters genuine deep sleep. The Norse warriors who slept on those benches in January, in longhouses with no insulation and no glass, slept deeply enough to row in the morning. They were not alone in this knowledge. In Heian period Japan, beginning in 794 CE, the imperial court and common households alike sleep on shikibuton, thin cotton futons laid flat on woven tatami grass mats 3 to 4 inches above the ground. This is not poverty. The ruling aristocracy of one of the most refined material cultures in human history chooses to sleep almost on the floor. The samurai class sleeps this way for 1,000 years, not as deprivation, not for lack of craftsmen capable of building a higher frame. As wisdom, as thermal knowledge translated into daily practice without a single equation ever being written down. Mongolian herdsmen in their gurs position sleeping mats at floor level, feet angled toward the central stove, bodies resting in the lowest, coolest, most stable air layer of the circular tent. Persian caravanserais from the 10th century record travelers sleeping on low stone platforms covered with wool, never elevated, even in wealthy inns where elevation would have signaled status. The pattern across cultures, across centuries, across continents is not coincidence. The pattern is physics, pure and simple. In 2017, Dr. Matthew Walker, neuroscientist and sleep researcher at the University of California, Berkeley, published work that made the mechanism impossible to argue with. Walker quantified what sleep scientists had been assembling piece by piece for decades. Your core body temperature must fall between 2 and 3 degrees Fahrenheit to trigger sleep onset, and must remain lowered to maintain the slow-wave, restorative sleep stages where physical repair and memory consolidation actually happen. Not because you kick off a blanket, because the ambient air around your body continuously draws thermal energy from your skin. Walker measured subjects falling asleep in cooler, thermally calibrated environments nearly 50% faster than subjects in warm rooms, in some trials. The air temperature at the precise elevation where your body rests determines how quickly that thermal exchange begins. The Vikings measured it in inches. Walker measured it in degrees Fahrenheit. They arrived at the same answer. The global mattress industry generates $45 billion in annual revenue. The bed frame and bedroom furniture market adds more than $20 billion on top of that. The residential HVAC industry, the machines that hold your bedroom at 72 degrees while you fail to sleep deeply, is a $240 billion global sector. None of these industries benefit from you understanding that your body wants to be 8 inches off the floor in a room running naturally cool. They built an entire commercial architecture of elevated warmth because that architecture demands products, replacements, and energy consumption that never stops generating revenue. Here's the physics that makes this non-negotiable. Cold air is denser than warm air, more molecules per cubic foot, more thermal mass, heavier gravitational pull downward. In a room without forced air circulation, cold air sinks and stratifies at the lowest layer, the way cream settles undisturbed to the bottom of a jar. The warm air pools near the ceiling and stays there. The American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, ASHRAE, has documented vertical temperature gradients, showing the air at 6 inches off the floor can be 8 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the air near the ceiling in a standard heated room. A typical American bed with box spring and frame places your body at 24 to 30 inches off the floor. You are sleeping in the warm zone. Your core temperature holds. The 2 to 3 degree drop, Walker identified as mandatory for deep sleep, is delayed, sometimes for hours. Meanwhile, your HVAC system burns fuel trying to cool that elevated warm air pocket, while the thermally perfect layer your sleeping body actually needs sits completely undisturbed 18 inches below you, doing nothing, available to anyone willing to descend to it. The four companies controlling the majority of the American mattress market, Serta Simmons Bedding, Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and Purple, all build products that require elevation, frames, and bases. The International Sleep Products Association, the ISPA, representing these manufacturers, has funded decades of research into foam density and coil count. Not one study from ISPA has investigated optimal sleeping elevation, not one. The International Residential Code in the United States mandates 7-foot minimum ceiling heights in habitable rooms, a standard that locks in the spatial assumptions of elevated furniture design. Building codes are not neutral documents. They encode the economic expectations of the industries that were at the table when they were written. You cannot patent thermal stratification. You cannot brand cold air. You cannot create a subscription for physics. That is precisely why the $45 billion industry built a world where the question never occurred to you. Every morning, you wake up groggy in a 70-degree room. After 8 hours of shallow sleep, you are proof that the suppression worked exactly as intended. I need to be honest with you here. Low sleeping is not universally comfortable without some preparation. If your floor is uninsulated concrete slab in a northern climate, sleeping near ground level can pull heat from your body too fast. Some people with specific lumbar conditions also report increased morning stiffness during the transition. That is real and worth acknowledging. But notice what those conditions describe, the extremes, and every culture that practiced low sleeping solved for it the same way. A wool mat, woven grass, a simple wooden platform 4 to 6 inches off the ground. The limitation is real. The workaround is older than writing. Here is what you actually do. Replace your box spring with a low-profile platform frame. The Zinus 4-inch low-profile wood platform bed frame runs around $120 and drops your sleeping surface to roughly 8 inches. Or build a Japanese-style setup. A Shikibuton futon from the futon shop rolled out on a tatami mat or a thick wool rug. Set your thermostat to 65 degrees Fahrenheit before bed. If your climate allows, crack a window 1 inch in winter. Cold exterior air is denser and will sink to floor level, reinforcing the stratification rather than disturbing it. Erik Breka, a homesteader outside Tromsø in northern Norway, documented his transition to a 6-inch platform sleeping setup. In a wood-heated cabin where outdoor temperatures hold below -15 degrees Celsius for months at a time, over one winter season, his firewood consumption fell by roughly 30%. He was no longer heating the full column of room air, trying to chase warmth into a bed that sat in the wrong thermal layer. He lowered himself to where the physics already lived. 1,000 years ago, a Viking in a Danish longhouse understood something about cold air and human biology. That $45 billion a year in commercial sleep infrastructure has methodically removed from your bedroom. The Japanese understood it. The Mongols understood it. Your great-grandmother understood it without ever needing a paper published in Berkeley. You are the heir to that knowledge. It was not abandoned because it stopped working. They just needed you to forget it. If this changed how you think about your bedroom, subscribe and share this with one person who wakes up exhausted every single morning. They are owed this information.